What's going on, people? Welcome back to Premier League Unpacked, episode 23. We've actually got there, Bish. We've got there, man. We've done over 10. But people, it's a big show today. Obviously, there's no football as it's international break. But we thought we're going to discuss a bit of the news that's going around at the moment. And first of all, let me introduce my co-host, Bish, as everybody already knows, Man City fan. And a special guest on the show today, we got Patrick, Tottenham fan. We did a stream last week on Saeed's channel. And let me tell you, people, good stuff. I'm not going to lie. You get me? Instant connection. I had to get him on straight away, bro. So how you doing, Patrick? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. As I always say, what's going on, people? It's your boy, Patrick Tyrant, a.k.a. Young Swaggy Daniels. When you see the T, you see the P. When you see the P, that represents T. Let's go. Let's go.
Love it. Love it.
Good
Bish, what are you telling me, bro?
I'm good, bro. Yeah, I'm good. Been a long week, but a good week. Bit gutted we ain't got no Premier League this weekend. It's been a bit stop-start the season so far. I'm looking forward to there being a run of games, but then World Cup this year, we're going to have more interruptions like that anyway, so we've got to get used to it. But definitely glad to be back with you guys talking footy, keeping it in the forefront, and looking forward to the show, bro.
100%.
How about you, bro? How you doing?
Man. I'm all right. Obviously, when there's no Arsenal playing, I'm not going to lie, man starts feeling certain ways because football keeps me going. But I got my ass in the gym today. I thought, let me go and get some work in the gym done, because healthy body, healthy mind and all of that, you get me? So I'm going to stick to that and try to keep pushing. But we're here today, the biggest topic that I want to speak about. And you're here, Bish, City fan through and through. Jack Grealish, is he £100 million flop? Talk to me, fam.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was weird how this kind of rose to the top of the news cycle this week, because I don't think Jack Grealish has done anything like horrible to suddenly warrant being the guy that's in the focus. But I think they're always looking for a story and someone to talk about. And no, he hasn't given us all of that 100 million. He hasn't given us all that we think Grealish can be yet. I'll admit that. He's not been kind of like flew out the blocks at City. But then as a City fan, do I feel like it's a bad transfer, or do I feel bad feelings about Grealish, or do I feel like it won't come good? No, I don't feel any of them things, you know what I mean? So flop for me is too early, and too early isn't a certain amount of time for every player and every club. But at City, with Grealish and with Pep seemingly happy with him and continuing to kind of work on him, it's going to take time, and I don't think a flop is fair, really. But it's a lot of money. But then you look at some of the other players that have gone for 90 million or more, or 80 million or more. And we can have a look down the list in a minute at the kind of the other players in the top 10 transfer fees. But I think flop's strong, bro. I don't know.
Sweet.
What do you think, Patrick?
This is what I was going to say. Before you get into that list, save that list
100%,
a little bit down the line. You get me?
Because as a City fan, maybe I'm biased because I'm there's nothing to really worry about over here at the moment. But it would be good to get an outside perspective on whether people think that's like money gone bad, or a flop.
You know what? I loved Jack Grealish at Aston Villa, and as you will probably remember, he was on our radars, in Spurs' radar for a while, and he literally waved goodbye to the fans. We thought we were going to get him, and then Daniel Levy moved the goalpost at the last minute. They didn't sell. They then got a new owner in. He was like, "No, we're not selling our prize asset," and he stayed at Villa. So I've always had a soft spot for him. I think he's a fantastic player. I wouldn't say he's a flop. It's so hard, isn't it? Because when you go from Aston Villa to Man City for that price tag, there's always the spotlight's always going to be on you, and everyone's waiting for you to make a mistake, or waiting for him to get caught out at a nightclub. Everyone's waiting for him to flop. Basically, like the bar's so high now, being that he's English, he's like the poster boy for like the new generation, and it's tough because I don't think he's been a flop at all. It's so hard to come into that Man City team. I know Haaland's kind of like an exception to the rule, but it's hard to come in and hit the ground running in that Man City team. It's so talented. Pep demands a lot from his players, and Jack Grealish has even come out and said it. He's like, at Villa, I had a free reign. I could do this, I could do that. At City, there's so many good players, and literally this is my role. I have to stick to it or I'm coming off. So it's a completely different mindset, completely different team. The Man City team is so talented. You're going to get rotated a lot. I've liked him when I've seen him play. Yeah, of course, he could always chip in with more goals and assists, but I don't look at him and think he's a flop. I think there's obviously still more to come. I mean, he's already won a Premier League there, and he was, he was quite instrumental in that team last season. He looks like he's stepped up a bit this year. It's still early. It's too early to say yet. But in terms of being a flop, no chance. I just think that people are just waiting for him to fail, just so they can be like, yeah, I told you so. It wasn't going to work. And I think unless he has like Kevin De Bruyne numbers, people will say he's a flop. That's just the nature of the beast. But if you look at him and you watch him play with the Man City team, he looks just as good as anyone else there. Do you know what I mean? So I can't call him a flop. It's a weird one, but I think football heads that watch football properly will say that, nah, he's not a flop, but he still needs time.
No, I agree. But big up James in the chat as well, yeah. So James has put price tag isn't his fault. Doesn't seem to fit Pep's system 100%, but Pep seems happy enough with him according to interviews. If he's happy, then the fans should be too. Now, I just wanted to touch on with Gibish. Graham Souness, he come out and he said that he doesn't think he's a world-class player. He thinks he's a decent player. And he also believes that the modern player of this time can't take criticism. Now, do you agree with him on that?
That's took me in a different direction. I think firstly, I can't think of that many examples of players that have like had something to say about criticism like publicly when it wasn't like something valid to say, like stuff that's gone beyond criticism. Do you know what I mean? There's criticism, there's some kind of football critique, and then there's like people kind of speaking badly on your name. Then there's the fucking racism that we see sometimes to these players. Like that's not, and I think sometimes when guys like Souness, especially from that generation, just say these blanket statements, it can be taken in different ways. And I think that really I'm struggling to think of a time where a player's been like come out and been like, it's not fair, everyone's criticizing the way that I've been playing and they should leave me alone. People are coming out and speaking usually because they feel like someone's kind of going after him or someone said something which goes beyond criticism. So I don't really understand why he said it. I think maybe he feels a certain way about Grealish, and I think that there's a trend in there of like when an English player comes through and they're kind of like a prodigy or a poster boy, the media kind of turns in on the player. They've done it with Beckham, they've done it with Rooney, they've done it with countless of the current squad, they've done it with Sterling. Do you know what I mean? Like they will do it. So I don't know. I just think, man, like Souness, like why are you even talking about Grealish? Like what's he done? So there's so many players that are not in form at the moment. Like why are you just focusing in on him? Because like the comment said, it's not, he didn't ask to be valued at that amount. He just is who he is and is on his, he gives 100%. He don't look like he's not working. So go on, brother. Sorry, go.
Yeah, no, Bish, I was going to say that's a really good point because I don't know why the focus is so on Jack Grealish. I don't know. And like I said, when I watch him, I don't see anything out of the ordinary to say, what's he doing in that team, or he's playing badly, or he fits in. Like I said, yes, he could offer a bit more in terms of goals and assists, but I think he's gelled and slotted in quite nicely. And there's so many players that are not performing at a level. So why is Jack Grealish being spoken about right now? It is quite odd. It is.
And you know what doesn't do him? Can I just quickly say, what doesn't do him any favors is he is in that team alongside Foden, who's another young English player. And in fairness, I know you were saying before he doesn't look out of place in that team, but there's other guys in that team that are currently performing
levels
at a higher
above,
level,
100%,
both for what
100%.
City need and just as a player. Now, but that's not fair because Foden's been working with Pep since. He's been being shaped by Pep for years, whereas Grealish is coming in and having to learn the game. So it's not fair sometimes that he's being compared against another fellow English player, young English player, and he doesn't look like he's at that level. But that's not necessarily.
Let me give you my thoughts around it,
brother.
Because my thoughts around the situation is I think I seen actually a podcast of Robbie's on AFTV, and I think he pretty much hit the hammer on the nail. And what he said is that there's nothing going wrong at Man City at the moment. And that's the only situation people can cling on to try to give them some grief and give them some stick because he was £100 million. Now, I think that's totally right. And for me, this season is when you got to see what you're going to get out of Jack Grealish, because historically, Pep Guardiola, he signs a player and he then integrates them in the team slowly. We normally see them getting their starts and their flowers the following season. And Tom, you could correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, you know your team better than me. But that's the pattern that I normally see. Pep will go out there, he'll buy a player, he'll put them on the bench, he'll let them play here and there. But then the following season is their season. For me, it's a bit like a graduate season, I think. to see it as. And the same kind of thing with Arteta as well. Like with the Fabio Vieira situation, certain players, he likes to embed them into the team. And I think that comes from Pep. Like I said, if you think I'm wrong, Bish, just let me know in it, because you know them better than anyone else. But there's one thing Jack Grealish also said, and he said he's never been a big goal scorer throughout his career and throughout his time of playing football at the highest level. He's never really been a goal scorer. So I don't understand where a lot of the pressure is on Jack Grealish with his numbers, because we all know Jack Grealish at Aston Villa, yeah, he didn't score the most, but his effectiveness in the game was absolutely unbelievable. Now, this season, with 7 games gone, it's not a lot. It's not a lot, really. And I just feel like, as well with TalkSport and other media outlets, because one thing Bish was actually touching on with me before the stream as well, that because the football's not available sometimes, it's just easy to throw certain shit out there and speak about it because it's relevant, you know what I mean, or make a story out of something. So I think with the Jack Grealish situation on my side of things, Bish, I just think it's going to take him a little bit more time to really embed himself in that team. Like you mentioned before, there's world-class players throughout that City squad. He's come from an Aston Villa team who, yeah, he might have been the best player there, but it weren't full of world beaters. And when you take a star out of one team and put him into a team full of stars, nobody really stands out unless you've got a fucking machine like Haaland up front. You know what I mean? So I think I agree with both of you. I think it is quite unfair with the like all the news, the paper talk that's going around with Jack Grealish. And that's why I wanted to make sure this was one of the biggest topics that we're speaking about, because like I said, there's real flops in this league, Bish. And if you want to go and address that on the list now, that'd be sick.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's sick and what a lot of the bits that I've got here on different topics, even when we go on to Spurs later, a lot of the conversation that's happening this week is about what makes a good transfer, do you know what I mean? And even when they're calling him a flop, you know, we can talk about football, why is he a flop? But really, the bigger question people are saying is, was that good value for money at 100 million? And I think there's different ways of looking at that. One of them is to look at the other top 10 players and how much they cost, and of feel out Jack Grealish on that list. I mean, Kai Havertz at 9 at 72 million. Kepa, the goalkeeper, joint 9th at 72 million. Nicholas Pepe, Arsenal boy, at 72 million. I'd like to hear your thoughts on him in a minute, bro. Sancho, 3 million. Van Dijk, and then we've got Lukaku, who appears twice, 75 million from Everton to United, and then again at 96 million from Inter Milan to Chelsea. 89 million for Pogba. So there's a lot of players on there. 80 million for Maguire, infamously. So, the players on there who you would...
Damn man got stung differently,
stinger, that's a different type of stinger.
Absolutely stung.
If you're talking about, do you feel like Grealish is one of the worst on that list in terms of value for money? He's going to be probably quite low down on that list, if not the lowest. You're still feeling like you're getting good value for money on the pitch, and like we said, he's a poster boy, so he probably, sells them out of a certain amount or makes a certain amount of money on impressions or whatever it is, in this digital age. So I think, I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Pepe at 72 million or Grealish at 100 million today? What
I'll be totally honest,
like a worse value for money?
I would have never gone in for Grealish for 100 mil, because I just think that's crazy money. And I think football's getting fucking destroyed, with the amount of price tags that are getting knocked around, bro, because eventually it's going to come to a time where little teams like Brentford and all these guys, they're never going to be able to compete within the 100 mils and stuff like that, because they don't have the infrastructure to compete. So it's just going to be ruining the game for me. I would have never got in for 100 mil, because for me, 100 mil is a big amount of money, you get me? And if you got to get somebody, that's already right at the top and just absolutely smashing it. But obviously, City have done that with the Nicholas Pepe situation. I'm not going to lie, I didn't really know much about Nicholas Pepe when he come. So there was a lot of talk in France that he's, he outscored Mbappe and he was the bee's knees and whatnot. He came to Arsenal. People call him a flop, but in his first season, bro, he scored quite a few. He got quite a few assists. Following season, he had a very good season. Third season coming, hardly ever got played really. And I just don't think his game suits the English style. For me, would I have spent £72 million on him? Never in a million years, you get me? I would have never spent 72 million. Can you call it a flop? Yes, you can, because he's currently out on loan at the moment. And we brought him in as our record signing at that specific time. So I agree, man. I think there's a lot more bigger flops in the situation in that list. Maguire, that you notably said, I think he's a massive flop. And you can see, and also he's a player that has been getting criticised all the time as well. And he hasn't really come out and said too much about things as well. So what Graham Souness said just a little bit earlier that we touched on in regards to the modern player not be able to take criticism, I think it's a little bit pony as well. But yeah, Patrick, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
In terms of the Pepe versus Grealish, or in terms of the value of Grealish compared to
just who you think's a flop on that list?
Pepe,
Maguire,
Pepe,
Lukaku.
unfortunately, Pepe is definitely a flop. Even the fact that now he had to be loaned out for him to get minutes because he wouldn't have got minutes in the Arsenal team shows that he's not at the level where he needs to be, considering how much he's Arsenal's record signing, isn't he? So the fact that he's been loaned out, he's a flop. Ndombele probably would be about 13th or 14th on that list. Again, another flop. We spent a lot of money on him. He's our record signing, and again, he had to be loaned out to get minutes because there's no way in for him in the current structure of the team. The manager doesn't favour him. Grealish, like I said, I don't think he's a flop, man. I think he's done okay. He's done quite well in his first season. Second season, obviously, we're going to be a bit more critical. But listen, the guy came in, played decent minutes, helped Man City win the league. They obviously shouldn't have went out in the Champions League the way they did. So you could have almost, I think Grealish has done quite well. You look at other players on there. How much did Jadon Sancho cost? Was he in the top 10? Was he in the top 10? He was, wasn't he? Yeah. Yep. Again, the jury's still... I like Jadon Sancho. I think he's a fantastic player. But if we're talking about flops, the jury's still out on him right now. Yes, he's young, second season. But, the same energy needs to be had for all these players if they're going to call Grealish a flop. It's a bit weird. Harry Maguire, definitely a flop. Definitely. The guy is not... He shouldn't have made the England squad. That's criminal how he made it. I understand people say, but he was in the team that got to the finals. He was in this team that got to the semis. But if we're talking right now and how horrible his form's been for the last 6 to 9 months, he shouldn't be in the England squad right now. Again, he can't get in the Manchester United starting 11. The guy is a flop. He's being phased out. So for me, he's a flop. Lukaku, 100% a flop. The guy hardly played a minute at Chelsea. Literally, came out and said all the crap he said. Fell out with the coach, fell out with a lot of his players, had to run back to Inter Milan. Definite flop, considering how much they caught. He was meant to be the missing link in that Chelsea team. They were screaming out for a striker. Everyone, I predicted Chelsea would win the league last year because they were so good under Tuchel when he first came in. They obviously won the Champions League. They were just a striker away from really competing. They got Lukaku, and I thought, okay, cool, it's over. And the guy was fucking atrocious. So he's definitely been a flop. I can't remember who else is in there, but yeah, in terms of, I think that's probably everyone, isn't it? But yeah, Grealish isn't a flop. It's too early to say, 2 or 3 years down the line, if he's still at this level right now, then cool, maybe we can say that. But right now, it's too early to say. And of course, he can get better. Grealish is a quality player. His level can still increase. And like I said, when I watch him, I don't look at him and think he's out of place or, whoa, what's he doing there? Yes, Foden is obviously balling out. But Grealish, yeah, I think he's a good player. And I think he looks competent and he looks at ease in that team, so to speak. So you can't really say much more than that right now for me anyway.
Nah, I hear that still, bro. But whilst we're on the subject of media, obviously we're going to move a little bit away from Jack Grealish now, because I just wanted to clear that up, to be honest, because I've been hearing bare people calling him a flop, this, that, and the other. I just thought, you know what, let's give him a little bit of time and actually just break it down and unpack it a little bit.
You know what, Frems? I will say that they're just probably salty, isn't it? Like you said, Man City are doing so well. You can't really, what can you really knock Man City about right now? And I think it's
100 million Grealish, that's it.
Yeah, that's it, literally. So, sometimes there's no context in football. And I think right now that they're taking that out of context because it's the only kind of thing you can hang over Man City right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. But what I wanted to move on to next, I wanted to move on to Jason Cundy. Yeah, chatting absolute shit about Mikel Arteta in playing the 15-year-old Ethan Enuary. I don't know if I pronounced your name wrong, bro. If I did, I do apologize. But, it doesn't roll off the tongue that easy. But yeah, man, I just want to know, do you think Arteta was wrong to bring in a 15-year-old with a couple minutes to go to give him a bit of experience, a bit of game time? Or what's this guy on? Why is he chatting shit like that, bro? It makes no sense to me. Go on, Bish. Give me your thoughts on it first of all.
Go on, Patrick. I feel like you was ready to.
I'm just fucking like, what are we getting? What is football come to if that's what they're gonna moan at? And the thing is, there was proper think pieces on this, like long ass articles on listen, if Arteta wants to give a 15-year-old some minutes in a game which was obviously, you lot had won the game by then, but it's a Premier League game. Why not give a guy a debut if he feels he's ready? He's not going to just throw. No manager at this day and age just throw someone on for the sake of it. The guy has had to have obviously earned his corn in under 21s or the other, the lower leagues. So not lower leagues, but obviously the lower level as opposed to the first team. Obviously training hard. In training, didn't look out of place, and he was given his rewards and it shows a clear message to the rest of the team and the rest of the youngsters: work hard, play hard, and you can also get to there. Whether he plays again and gets more minutes, we're yet to see that. But I just don't understand why people are critiquing it. It's really weird, because then at the same time they always say, "Oh, football's gone crazy. We spend all this money and no youngsters come through." But when a youngster does come through and gets a chance, they're still going to critique it. So you can't win, can you? Do you know what I mean? And I'm a Tottenham fan, but I still don't understand. It's not like, it's really weird. You want to see youngsters come through, man. For me, I'm waiting for Alfie Devine and Dane Scarlett and all these guys to get their minutes and get their shine. You guys have got Cole Palmer, haven't you? Who's also like literally on the cusp of really getting that first team solidified spot. I don't understand what the problem is. I really don't. It's really weird.
And talk about just raining on Ethan's moment. Do you know what I mean? Like,
trying to piss on his fucking parade, man.
This is again young English player. Do you know what I mean? He would be eligible to play for England. It's an amazing achievement that he's been able to make into the first team at that age. That he had the, just never mind footballing terms, just being 15 and being able to hold nerve that it takes to go in front of however many tens of thousands of people with so much money on the line, so much at stake, and be able to hold down 10 seconds in a Premier League game. For anyone that's not worth the stuff, a team could target you and get 3 goals in probably 2 minutes if you were really not good enough to be playing on that pitch at that level, even if it is for a few minutes. So I think it's just shitting on his moment. This should be about a moment of just celebrating. Like, that's it's an achievement. It's an amazing thing, an amazing sign for Arsenal. It's an amazing sign for the game and the Premier League and English football that like young talent is at that level at this age. Like, why is there anything negative to say about it? Whatever Arteta's reason for doing it was, that's another conversation, and even there I can't see anything negative. But really, we should be appreciating what an achievement this is by this young man. That's what I feel like.
Well, obviously, Kunde come out and he said that it could be unnecessary pressure on the kid. He also said that Arteta did it for. He also said, check the play though. He said Arteta did it for selfish reasons, so he can say I played the youngest player in the Premier League. Like, what the fuck's that all about? You get me? Like, it makes no sense to me. See the way where I stand with it, bro. People seem to forget Arsenal Football Club have been the pioneers of bringing youth through the system and playing youth. Now, if this kid is performing at a high level in the under 18s and Per Mertesacker and Jack Wilshere are looking at him and thinking, you know what, this kid's got some real potential, it's their duty to go to the manager and say, yo, look at this youth. He's 15, and he's well above his years. He's well beyond his years. Have a look at him, get him in training. And that will also, like Patrick said, motivate all these other young players. I think, Ras, Ethan can do it. I can do it.
And not just at Arsenal, across the whole of the Premier League, youngsters will be looking at like saying, "Wow, I've got a chance now." If Arsenal are doing it, and like you said, English young, they're going to look like, "Okay, cool. Let me work a bit harder. Let me show the coach what I've got." I don't understand why there's any sort of negativity. It's really weird.
It is, bro. It just, you know what it is? It's just baffling, isn't it? Because you hear these pundits, by saying stuff like that, they're the ones and they're the media that are likely to unsettle the guy. You get me? This guy is a lifelong Arsenal fan. He's just literally lived his dream, bro. If you give me a 5 minutes on that pitch, bro, I'll probably have a heart attack and die, fam. You get me? Like,
you get a red card. You get sent off, man. You get sent off. Rush of blood.
It's all a mad thing, bro. It's all a mad thing. But this is going to move us on now, because I want to talk about Tottenham. As we got a Tottenham fan on the show, people, make sure that you subscribe to Patrick's channel. His link is in the description as well. All you got to do is just press it and press subscribe. It's totally free. And I'm telling you now, if you don't do it, you're just shady. So just make sure you subscribe. If you're watching it now or watching it later. Tottenham, what is it going to take for you, man, to win a trophy, fam? That's what I want to know.
Well, you're hitting me with the hard questions, boy. But that's what we're here for, innit? The real deal. You know what? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we just got to literally we've got the players, we've obviously got the manager, we've got the capabilities. These guys need to turn it on in the high pressure moments. That's what it's going to take. The Kanes, the Sons, they need to just, I don't know, put it all on the line, because we've been in these moments. By now, we should have won something. We've had ample opportunities. Obviously, having Conte there, I feel when Pochettino got to the Champions League final, obviously, you know, he had his best interest at heart to try and put Harry Kane in and play him, but Kane was a statue. He wasn't ready. That was his biggest mistake for me, playing a guy that wasn't fit and wasn't ready and couldn't move. And you had a guy who had scored a second half hat-trick in Lucas Moura, who was on fire, full of beans, full of energy, and should have started that game. That was a massive mistake. I feel a manager with a bit more experience wouldn't have made that mistake. He would have taken the sentiment out of it and put the players in who he thought would win that game. So obviously it comes from manager's experience and being there and doing it. None of the players really have that. So they have to obviously just build on their experiences of the past failures. Like I said, we've got the quality there, but you just need to do it. And yes, I know in most of the finals, we've been the underdog. Obviously, we played City in the Carabao Cup 2 years ago. We played Liverpool. These are teams that you would expect to beat Tottenham. But then at the same time, we beat these teams as well in other games. So it's not always about that. You just got to, like I said, turn up on the day. That's all it is. So it's a difficult one. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good teams in the Premier League. There's a lot of good teams domestically. And obviously, Champions League's another story. But I don't really want to hear those excuses, because we have got players that are good enough to win trophies. Do you know what I mean? Like, Swansea have won a trophy in recent years. Even Wigan, if you take it back, yeah, they got relegated, but they won a trophy. Like, teams can do it, but you just got to turn up. I mean, we've seen underdogs international level. Portugal, I know they got Ronaldo there, but realistically, no one would have said they would have won that trophy. They did. So, you know, it's difficult, don't get me wrong, if I take all the banner out of it, but then I understand why people get onto us, because by now we should have won something. We've had the infrastructure. You've been there. I
think you win one this year under Conte.
I hope so, man.
I wouldn't even say confidently that I think Tottenham will get top four. I think they will, but I wouldn't say like I'm hands down on it. I think they'll win something. I think Conte is a winner, and I think he'll be aware that that's a thing. That's like maybe something they got to get off their shoulder to be able to really press on as a group and be like, right, we can compete. We need to win something, because City, we won the FA Cup before we ever won the Premier League. I remember that run. I went to the semis against United, went to the final against Stoke. Like, that was a moment. It was right, we've won something for the first time for us. It was like 30, however many years, you know what I mean? My dad's whole lifetime. So I think for Tottenham, he'll know, yes, top four is a target. Yes, Champions League is a target. Yes, competing for the league in an ideal world is a target. But if we can get the FA Cup or even the League Cup this year, that will really help us push on then next year and help him be able to justify more investment next summer. I think Tottenham could have gone even harder in the transfer window. I think they could have really committed and put belief and faith in Conte and said, go and splash on one big name player as well on top of all of that. Go and spend 100 million. We talk about spending 100 million. You go spend 100 million on who you want to get. And maybe they should have, waited to take that.
Do you know what? Yeah, Bish. I feel like what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense in the aspect of once they win that first trophy, that could be a catalyst to then go on and start winning stuff, because you get that hoodoo off your back. It's like with Arsenal before, it didn't win anything for about 9 years, and then Mesut Ozil came in. Everything around him, the feel-good factor around the club at the time when we signed him, bro, was off the charts, bro. I'm telling you, man, we're going crazy. That year that he came in, we won the FA Cup. Do you know what I mean? So after that, we won another 3 FA Cups, but for 9 years prior, we were struggling. We had a mental block, and the one thing that I'm scared of being an Arsenal fan, is that Tottenham do win that first trophy and then they do go and push on, because when you win trophies, players look at that from all around the world and they think, what, that's a club that's currently winning something. You get me? At the times when we was signing Alexis Sanchez and Aubameyang and stuff like that, do you not think they were looking at it thinking, right, well, they might not be doing all that in the Prem, but they're still winning trophies, they're still winning the FA Cup, so there's a chance of going there. 100. I want to know, Patrick, have you got full belief in Conte? Because obviously the style of play that he plays, I can obviously see a lot of Tottenham fans sometimes they're not happy with it, but he is effective in his style. He gets the results. Where do you stand?
That's it. I do, man. I have full belief in him. Like I said on Saeed's show on Tuesday or Monday, whenever it was, like, there's different ways to skin a cat. There's different ways to play football. And I know, like, Arsenal are playing good, football in terms of it's fancy on the eye. It looks good. I think Arsenal still have a bit of naivety in them in the big games. Obviously, City had that perfect blend of good football, but they also know when to pump the brakes and when to really, City can beat a team 1 or 2-0, but they've literally passed them to death. And it could have been 5 or 6, but they've reserved their energy. Or City can just turn around and score 9 goals and just say, you know what, cool, you're going to get it. So like with Tottenham, the thing is, we do score a lot of goals. I know there's this weird naive consensus that we don't. We score a lot of goals. We do sometimes play counter-attacking football. Other times we will let the team have the ball and obviously pick them off. So Conte has his style of play. The reason why I think that the players are buying into it, and yes, it's not the most attractive brand of football, but it gets results. And that's why when Bish is saying that he thinks that you could win a trophy, I understand what he's saying, because it's not the most attractive style of football, but it gets results. And if you can obviously transcend that into the knockout football and cup tournaments, then you can go far. And then obviously, yeah, you play in the final, you might play a better team, and you just kind of pick them off like we did against City last year, or when we do against Liverpool. Solid and hard to beat is what you're saying Tottenham are right now. And then obviously, if you stay in the game, you can always get a result. So I believe in it. And the reason why is because I've seen Conte do it before. Obviously, I have my doubts about Tottenham and some of the players because we haven't seen them cross that line. But, all we can do is do what we're doing. Since Conte's come in, I think we picked up the joint most points with City, or I think we're 1 or 2 points off. So we've been up there in terms of actually performances, in terms of getting results. So yeah, we just got to see how it goes, man. This year's telling. Obviously, we're back in the Champions League and the cup competitions are about to start. So we'll see. But right now, I have no complaints. I know some Spurs fans are moaning and this and that, but from what I've seen, I'm like, just don't be ungrateful. From what he's taken this team from to where we are now, I think it's been a massive turnaround.
I feel like it's going to be good to see, especially in the Champions League, to see how his system works against the likes of a Real Madrid, the likes of Barcelona, the likes of these kind of teams. Because even though, like, say, I think personally he's going to be playing a lot more of a counter-attacking football style when he plays in them games and be less expansive. But this is going to be a tough test for him, like you said, because Champions League, he's back in it. He can't really fall out of it too early. Otherwise, people are going to start judging him straight away.
Definitely.
But I also agree with Tom. I also agree with you. I feel like this is an opportunity and this is a season that you can win a domestic cup because, like you said, winning ugly, bro, we was the kings of that in the FA Cup. How many times were we in the final against Man City, Chelsea, all these teams, and we won? You know what I mean?
There you go. You know what? That goes back to my point, Bish. When Prems, when you lot won, more often than not, you were the underdog, but you turned
100%.
up in the final and you got it done. And so that it shows that you can do it if you believe and you really want to do it. Against Chelsea that time, I thought, there's no way you lot beat them, and you did. And then obviously, so yeah, it's there. The proof is in the pudding. You guys have done it. Obviously, you're a good team, but in terms of Chelsea, City, you're the underdog. So yeah. I hate to say it, but well, you're actually the point that these guys should look at.
What about you, Bish? Obviously, last time City played Tottenham in the Champions League, obviously it wasn't that great for the man them. But what was I going to say? Now, do you reckon Tottenham will do well in the Champions League this year, or do you reckon it's going to be a year that they're going to have to adapt to the Champions League again, and then maybe next year do something special in it?
Champions League, I'll have to see. I'm trying to think as what's the furthest Conte's got to in the Champions League?
I think it's like around the 16, quarterfinals. I think
that's not
something
his
like that.
competition. Yeah, it's not like the Premier League where you think he's done it and proven.
He took Chelsea from 10th to fucking win the league.
So I've got to see it. I mean, I think in terms of Tottenham and City, like Tottenham have pretty much always done well against us, or they've been a bogey team for us in a lot of ways for years, and in clutch games. You know what I mean? I still remember. Years ago, again, when we was on our come up with City, it might have been Mark Hughes, and it was us and Tottenham fighting for 4th place.
The Peter Crouch header.
The Peter Crouch header, and Tottenham getting that 4th place. Like for me, I think Tottenham have been like a good side that on the day can compete with, top sides for a minute. But Conte just needs to bring that mentality, and I think whether we'll see it in the Champions League, that's hard to say without seeing something in the Champions League, but I just think he's a winner, and he'll know that.
I'm not gonna lie, I hope these man fall in the Europa League and that so we can smack them up.
That's what everyone's hoping. That's what like I said, I just need us to get to the knockout stages, and then we see like knockout football. You just don't know, anything can happen. But if we finish third, and that would be a massive L, a massive L. Do
you think like compete for the title?
Nah, I can't see it. I think City will walk the league, unfortunately. And like I've been saying, I just hope that the teams, your Tottenhams, your Chelseas, your Liverpools, your Arsenals, all the chasing pack will reduce the gap. That's what I'm thinking will happen, or I hope will happen. But I think City are just too strong. Obviously it's weird, isn't it? Because there's going to be first place, second technically on paper is competing, but if the gap's like 15 points, are they really competing? Do you know what I mean? So we got to see. You never know, but right now I just think it's City's, man. It's just they just look too strong. They look too strong, man.
Well, let's go on to Man City, Bish, for just before we touch on Arsenal. Yeah. What do you reckon with Man City? Do you reckon they're going to get stronger as the season goes on? Obviously, right about now, I'm seeing results from City, but I'm not seeing the same kind of level of performances that I was seeing last season in the sense of the sexy football that they were playing and certain things. Do you reckon that's just standard with City, that they normally do tend to start the league a little bit slower and tend to gradually grow into it?
I think
because Liverpool look like they fell off to me anyway. That's throwing that out there straight away.
What's going on with Liverpool is a different type of situation. I think that's like a team that needs to go into a rebuild stage. I think with City, there's a transition of styles happening. There's a transition of kind of dynamic with Haaland. Like when a player as good as Haaland and as prime as Haaland comes into your team, that's going to affect the dynamic of how that team plays. It's going to affect, even down to the smallest things. Like the first few games, I've seen a few times where Foden was through on goal and has gone to shoot instead of squaring it to Haaland, who's got himself into that position where if you square it, it's a goal. Now, for the last 2 years, Foden finds himself in that position and he's been told to shoot because most likely there's not going to be someone in that position. And even if they're there, they're not necessarily more of, there's probably a better chance in you just finishing it. So he's having to, something that's probably being drilled by Pep. And you know how Pep is. It's like in this position, the players have an understanding of what they're pretty much meant to do. So if they've got some of the players having to change that now to fit around the fact that anything near the area, if Haaland's got it, with this by far the most chance of the ball going in the net, you know what I mean? This guy's
he's an animal.
So
an animal.
I think that affects Grealish. I think that affects the whole team and how it plays. I think the one thing with City is we're a bit thinner. Do you know what I mean? We're not as deep as a squad. With the prime players on the pitch, there's a couple of guys that are so unstoppable that they could just go and win everything. But when you actually look now at some of those players that left in the summer, and then the players that have come in, I think that if we were to get a few bad injuries to like top players, the squad could look suddenly a lot thinner than it did last year. We've probably got the headway to still be able to look thin and still compete. But yeah, it don't feel like we're stacked in the wide areas anymore. It don't feel like we're like, stacked in the midfield anymore. Fernandinho going Rodri's amazing. But if Rodri got injured, I don't know who holds down that role in clutch games. You know what I mean? Gundogan can play there, but
well, you got Calvin Phillips. People forget that Calvin Phillips signed for you guys.
I forgot. I just forgot.
I'm not gonna lie. I did as well, but we've not seen it for him in the City shirt. You know what I mean? I got no doubts for him, but we've not seen it.
That's what I mean.
I was gonna say you signed it in January. Calvin Phillips is on the bench. Fucking hell, man. It's so
hope he gets the fitness. Definitely.
Look, let's move to the other side of Manchester. Yeah.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that United have topped City in last year within the wage structure, and they've actually, I think I've got it written down here. It's 384.2 million.
Yeah.
You get me, bro? That's an absolute mad thing. Now, what I want to ask you is, Patrick, I'm going to come to you straight away.
Yeah.
Do you think managers there for the Wonga, for the cash, for the peas? What do you think? Because these managers going down, and the wage bill is going up. You get me? So it's a mad thing.
You know what? It's crazy. Man United on paper, I say on paper, historically they're a humongous team, obviously one of the biggest teams in the world. Some will say they are the biggest team in the world, obviously depending on which way you lay your bed in terms of your Liverpools, your Real Madrids, Juventus, blah blah blah, Barcelona. But I feel right now they are having to pay over the odds to attract the cream of the crop. And if we're looking at it, they can't obviously attract the same players that Liverpool or Man City can attract, or Juventus, or right now you're looking at Barcelona somehow attracting, the Prem de la Prem. Juventus is still there. So it's they're having to overpay. I mean, look how much they paid for the Brazilian guy. His name slipped my mind now.
Anthony.
Anthony. Yeah, as opposed to that's a lot of money.
Fourth on the list or something.
Yeah.
But you
there
don't
you
think
go.
they should be
So,
keeping the wage structure in check a bit, because when you deep the situation, these man have got like Phil Jones still on the fucking
yeah,
on the
that's a
wage
bit
structure,
crazy.
get me, bro. Now,
They
to
made
me,
a loss.
yeah.
They made a loss that year of 115 million.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're just up and everyone's getting paid. Like
But-
they're losing money as a business, and guys are just
But
still
right
on
now,
salary.
I think right now it's kind of a mess, like from top to bottom. Like even now, I don't know if they've got a director of football. And again, people in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe they've appointed the actual director of football. Or if they have, I don't know. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes that's not really where it needs to be. So it's a weird one.
Are you scared of Manchester United challenging Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea for that?
I wouldn't say I'm scared, but also at the same time, I can't write them off. It's a weird one. Do you get what I mean? Like I've seen them win 4 on the bounce now, and I've seen them beat Arsenal and beat Liverpool. You have to give them their credit there. They're two of the best teams in the league. But I don't know, with Ten Hag and the players that they got there, they're kind of like an unknown entity. We don't know what team's going to turn up. So I'm not scared of them. Like I'm, like when I look at Arsenal, when I look at even Chelsea, when I look at obviously City is another level. Liverpool's, I know these teams are going to be there or thereabouts. With Man United, I'm not sure. Do you know what I mean? I'm not sure what team's going to turn up, but I can't write them off. They're definitely a threat, 100%.
Quite unpredictable at the moment, Man United. I think kind of recovered the window a little bit in the sense of bringing the key experience. Casemiro, a young talent in Anthony. Martinez looks like he's come in and quite a player.
He looks decent.
And to be honest, I was linked to Arsenal, and obviously, as people who know me, obviously my man's called the Butcher, and I would have loved a player like that at Arsenal. But Tom, can you see United getting anywhere close to the title within the next 5 years? This big, massive powerhouse of a club.
The thing with United is, if you're looking at the players on the pit, however you're looking at it, it's the business is being done so badly over there, and it has been for so long, and there's no signs of the people that own it and make the decisions. Really, they're not pressed because they're still making their dough. So I think the difference with United and like Juventus and Real Madrid and these other teams you mentioned in other leagues is that in them other leagues, there's only a few big powerhouses in terms of businesses, in terms of big dough, in terms of big name brands.
Revenues and all of that.
Yeah, so like it would take not only for them to drop off, but in the time that they're dropped off for another club like a Napoli to become as big as a global brand as a Juventus. Do you know what I mean? In the Premier League, there's a lot of big name teams, and I think if United continue to be run this badly as a business and as a football club, but especially as a business, losing money, not investing in the stadium, then they end up having to sell, or they don't sell, but things could get super peak over there where in the next 5 years they could be in a different position in the league and like not with the means to really compete.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
At the same time, if they got a good manager in that could kind of turn the feeling around, then maybe they could get a better valuation. Maybe they could force a sale through. Maybe the Glazers would sell while the kind of price is peaked. They might get someone in that cares a bit more, and then all the foundations are there for them to be biggest club, one of the biggest clubs in the world again. But things are bad over there. Do you know what I mean?
Nah, it is, bro. You got
wage. You should. That should.
Gary Neville. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what Gary Neville said?
What he said?
So I was listening to Gary Neville, and he said that in 2000, they moved to Carrington, Man United, bro. Since 2000, bro, there's been no improvements at that training ground. You get me? Teams are going up in the aspects of, say, even Liverpool are building a new stand. Tottenham have got a new stadium. Arsenal
Everton
got a new stadium. Everton. Are these men going to be left behind because of their owners? Because it might be all good and well that you're earning the most money, but if you're getting sucked for your money and that, like the Glazers do to United, is only inevitable that he's just going to start falling down. And with the stadium being one of the most historical stadiums, I can understand that they probably don't want to just be rash and knock it down or do this, that, and the other. But you can modernize the fucker, you know what I mean? Fix the roof and that, you know what I'm saying, first of all. So, and that was quite refreshing hearing Gary Neville actually as a pundit just coming out and saying it as it is, really, innit? Do you know what I mean? There was no really backbone behind it. He was just saying, Ras, the only time this club is going to really move forward is when the owners do move on. And that's what it is in the Premier League at the moment. We have a crop of American owners that are not really invested in football. Like when you think about even FSG and you think about Liverpool, they kind of won the lottery in a sense with the sales that they've had with their players in order to reinvest that back into the team. They would have never gone out and brought a Van Dijk for what, 75 mil? You get me? They would have never gone out there and brought what, Alisson for 70 mil. That stuff was unheard of at Liverpool. And it's not because, Liverpool's owners give a shit. They just did a smart business move by bringing in Klopp. You get me? And that smart business move has paid off for them. So it's just a little bit of a funny one on United. But now we're talking about Liverpool, bro. Patrick, man, talk to me, man. What's going on with them guys? They're looking like they've been off the paces.
It's so weird because, like, I'll give you a little backstory. In my fantasy football league team to start the season, I had Alisson, Van Dijk, and Trent, and I had to get these guys out. They were stinking up the place.
Yo, same, man.
And I was like, because typically they always keep clean sheets. Obviously, Alisson for me is the best goalkeeper in the league. You know, Van Dijk, the best centre back in the league, and Trent was always getting assists and getting points. And just the fact that I've had to get them out of my fantasy football league team just shows, you know, it's crazy. It's like the drop off is mad. The thing is, it's too early to write them off. I still have them in my top 4. I still have them to finish second. But the longer it goes, the longer I'm like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Because if all the other teams keep winning games and they're still, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. Too early to write them off. But I don't know. In terms of where it's gone wrong, defensively, they just don't look as resolute and as solid anymore. Teams can get at them. And you know what it is as well, friends? You know, like sometimes when you play a team, before you even play them, like, for fuck's sake, we've got Liverpool, we're not going to score. And now you go into those games thinking, you know what, let's go. Like you look at Van Dijk's beatable again. Alisson can get, you know, like that awe and that mystique that used to surround them isn't really there anymore. You know, like even going to Anfield now, people are up for it. You're seeing teams go there and get results. And like Fulham played them like and wasn't scared of them. And if you look at a newly promoted team probably a year or two ago, they would have shit their pants playing Liverpool, like one of the first games of the season. So, their midfield
they've lost a bit of that fear factor, haven't they?
Yeah, 100%. And their midfield is very creaky and very old. They're getting a lot of injuries there as well. Salah having to play more as a creator than the final scorer / finisher is also. There's a lot of. They're going for
Sadio Mane going.
Yeah, Sadio Mane going. Obviously, Nunes coming in. So they're going for a rebuild, but without all the pieces that they needed to do the rebuild. That's what I think is happening there.
Bish, something we've touched on, a little, not on this stream, but previous streams. Do you reckon it's demoralizing for a team like Liverpool to keep coming so close, but yet just falling short? Because, bro, if I was a player, a man's losing the league by a point, I'm telling you now, I'm vexed at everybody in that place, you know what I mean? Even myself included. Do you reckon that's starting to have an impact now on this team? And mentally, they're starting to deteriorate?
I think if that is having an impact, then, you know, that those players that are there are not maybe cut from the same cloth as some of the winners that have won this stuff in the past. But I don't think that would be the case. I mean, if you listen to Rio Ferdinand come out in the last few days and was speaking about the year that the Aguero goal and City winning the league against United and that last, you know, being that close and they thought they'd won the league, and then the feeling when that's gone. And then he said how kind of all summer they had that in mind and wanted to come back the next year and put it right, and they won the league the next year. That's a certain type of winning mentality. These Liverpool players, most of them that we're talking about, they've had some near misses, but they've also won a Champions League, got to another Champions League final, won the Premier League, they've been winning trophies as well. They're just not being dominating in a period when us and them have been kind of so dominant. So I just think like Patrick said, I just think that they're aging in the middle. I think maybe we really underestimated how good Mane was. Like, I think everyone agreed that he was a top player, but I think maybe people weren't acknowledging like he might be the guy over there, or so much one of the guys where if he goes and he's replaced with another person of that caliber, if you can he's irreplaceable. Maybe that's the conversation with Mane. Do you know what I mean? He's unbalanced the whole team. It's made the fullbacks look shit. Like, that's a mad thing that he's gone and Trent Alexander-Arnold looks shit and somehow it's connected. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how influential he was. And that midfield's just aging and been aging for a while. So like you said, I think you both hit the nail on the head. I think that this Liverpool ownership, they might not be the Glaziers, but they're not the Sheikh, they're not the Etihad group either. Do you know what I mean? They are still trying to run it as a business. They are still a lot of the time just spending on transfers, money that the club's making. They're not spending their own money in and over investing into it. So I think that if they don't, if you then have a run of time where you're not getting lucky with the transfers and players aren't coming good, or you're not coming up off a player that's now selling for 80 million or something and you bought on the cheap, then it only takes a few bad signings like this dude up front who just looks like that's, we're talking about
Darwin Núñez.
We're talking about flops. Yo, no one read him the memo of how fine the lines.
Yo, he's getting me a free scranning. You know that, innit? I got a bet on this. Yo, do you know with Avi Blue Chip on Grizz's channel sometimes, if you don't know, go
I know Blue Chip. Yeah.
We've got a bet on you. I said to him, listen, Alan's gonna blow my man out the water. You get me? He said, nah, Núñez is. I said, all right, sweet. He goes, listen, if Haaland scores more goals, then he'll take me for the most expensive scran. And if Núñez scores more goals, I'll take him. But it looks like we've got a winner already, I think. You know what I mean?
You might as well take that this weekend.
Book that in at Christmas. Book that in at Christmas. That's
what I'm saying. But you know what, though? I do think as well, like all messing around aside, I do think that last season did take a bit out of Liverpool, because when you're on fighting for 4 fronts and you've got that quadruple in your head, and then you end up with the 2 lesser trophies, not even one of the bigger ones, it's a big kick in the dick, you get me? Also, you're going to be coming back home thinking, ew, how has that happened? We should at least took one of them big boys. And now, let's see what Kishan say. Big up Kish in the chat, yo. I'm telling you. What I'll just say as well, we're going to save the best till last. The last 10 minutes, we're going to speak about the Gunners, you get me? Welcome to Premier TV, Patrick, you get me? That's all I know. Top of the tree, top of the league. Let's have it. But you know what, Go on, Bish.
I was just going to say, kind of transitioning onto Arsenal, and obviously with the Tottenham fan here, I would love to hear what you guys' top 4 is at the end of the season from today. Like, standpoint.
My top 4 has been the same, and I called it how I saw it from before the season started and basically how the season ended last year. And I think it's going to be as it is. So I said it was going to be City winning the league, Liverpool 2nd, Tottenham 3rd, Arsenal 4th. And from what I've seen so far, nothing has changed my mind on that. I said it and I called it. People thought I was crazy when I said Chelsea will not be in the top 4 this year. What are you talking about? They've already got rid of Tuchel now. Basically, they was quite comfortably in the top 4 last year and they fell out. I know they made it in the end, but the football I saw from like Christmas onwards wasn't great. Could see there was a lot of problems there, a lot of cracks. And obviously, Tuchel's gone now and Graham Potter is a good manager, but it's going to take a lot. And I saw how even though Arsenal capitulated and fell away at the back end of the season, I saw enough there to know that they had improved. And then they went out and addressed the gaps in their squad. And you can see they're obviously a better team already. Tottenham obviously improved as well. And we've addressed certain gaps. And then I didn't predict Liverpool to be this bad. So that one is a bit, but I still think they've got enough to, even if they don't finish 2nd, they're getting the top 4. So my top 4 is definitely that. It might change a bit in terms of Liverpool.
Above Arsenal.
Yeah. I still feel we're the better team if you're talking about over 38 games. And obviously we've been better than them. No shade for the last 6 years. So I still think that we will finish above them.
What? But I do think you don't get me started, Use man and
laid that in there smoothly, isn't
Use man,
and I just think,
man are lucky to be sitting at this top table. Like I said on the last stream, 1961. Remember that? You get me? I hold that. Remember that? Because until that who goes, man are gonna get stamped on with that. You get me, fam? I'm not gonna lie. But you know what? Respect to you, fam. Because personally, what I'm gonna say now, people they're probably gonna start, like I said on Saeed's channel, they're probably gonna be surprised. But man, I just real. I keep it as true as it is. You get me? I think City will win the league. I think Tottenham will come 2nd. I think 3rd and 4th. I can't get my mind on it. I think it's going to be tight challenge between Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea. Obviously, United potentially, but I just can't see United really getting that 4th spot. So I can't tell you if Arsenal are going to finish 3rd or 4th. To be honest, I'm not really asked in it. So chatty patty, easy, you
got them in the top 4 though, Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That's calm then. Yeah. I think you guys definitely get top 4. I say definitely. I mean, football's not definite, but you know what I mean. I've seen enough to say that Arsenal should get top 4 football.
Bro, if we don't get top 4 this season, bro, everyone's going mental. Best believe that. I'm telling you now, because
If
the
you don't
positivity
get top
around the
4, do
club
you think
right now.
Arteta's got to go?
Bro, of course he's got to go, fam.
Okay,
Like, what?
wow.
See
Okay.
me, bro. If he's got to go, if he gets top 4, yeah, he's got to get a trophy as well for me. You get me? Because, like I've said many times,
that's tough. That's tough.
Nah, bro, I'm a tough guy. I'm a tough geezer. You get me, bro? All I'm saying. I'm saying, yeah. Bro, Europa League, bish, and we're not being winning it. It's embarrassing. How the fuck are we in that competition, yeah? And we can't seem to get over the line. I'm not having that at all. You get me? We've got to win that competition and get top 4 in it. And for me, that's a successful season, because I wanted him out last season.
Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Bro,
so you can end up being a club that's just got that mental block in Europe, like what Tottenham have got across.
We've won a European Cup before, and it's not like we haven't. We have, but I'm saying is
but City have. But I mean, since it's been the Champions League, you obviously haven't won it, and with the UEFA Cup, you haven't won, and we haven't won either of them. Like sometimes that European football just takes you to, and it drops down to UEFA, where you're still getting, even if you're better than all the teams in it, you're not coming through with knowing that you have to perform in big games over and over.
Sorry, Fish. I just had to laugh.
Finally win a trophy.
It's fun.
Needs to relegate this team to League One.
But you know what? Yeah, look, bro. At the end of the day, yeah, I just think as long as Arsenal can just carry momentum, like I don't want to be too negative, bro, because last season, bro, I'll be honest, I weren't feeling Arteta from the moment he come to the club, bro. I don't understand how we could have got a manager without no experience after letting Wenger go for not getting 4th, and we needed that progression. Ancelotti available, go in and get the man. You get me? Don't let him fuck off to Everton. What's all that about? But they didn't sack him, and during the summer, he's not gonna go anywhere. So basically, you're having a bitch fit for no reason, innit? Now, I will only say what I see. Now, last season, first 3 games, relegation zone, smacked up left, right, and centre. Get the fuck out of here. Are you mad? You get me, bro? Like that ain't what I'm about. This season, though, I got positive during pre-season. You get me? Because pre-season is where you're seeing players come in, chemistry getting built, good results, and that moved into next season, which has given me belief. You get me? It has given me belief, and credit to Arteta for bringing in these players, and credit to him for sticking at it. You get me? And still doing his own way. But there's a long way to go in it. He's still got to go there and get us to them heights, because we don't just want to be sitting here praying pretty football and challenging for 4th again. What is all that about? That's not what man's about, innit? But big up to Arsenal anyway. We beat Brentford 3-0. Ivan Toney chatting shit as well.
He said you lot are cringy. Like he said, once cool, not twice. So
bro, this guy, I was looking into it properly as well, and this guy, he did the exact same tweet, when Arsenal lost 2-0 at Brentford as well last season. You get me? And now,
did he? I didn't know that. I thought you only did it the first time. I didn't know. See the first game, bro. He did that. You get me? So now, you got to look at it, bro. What if it's cringy for man? It's not cringy for you, and that's one thing that pisses me off about a lot of people, a lot of pundits, bro. They throw bare shade on Arsenal. It's not all right for Arsenal to do anything, bro. Man can't even celebrate if we're happy. People kick off on AFTV, man screaming on fan cams, this, that, and the other. But man's giving praise. They're still not happy, fam. What the fuck do you want? Do you know what I mean?
You know, I think this weekend of fixtures coming up in terms of the Tottenham Arsenal game and the City United game, I think for all of them teams except for City, I think this is going to be the game that decides your season. I think if Arsenal go there and beat Tottenham, or beat Tottenham convincingly, but even if they just beat Tottenham, I think you come out of that game, Arsenal are still top of the league. They've now beaten Tottenham. You know, suddenly the Tottenham finishing above Arsenal starts to look way more shaky than one game should do to it. Do you know what I mean? Same if United beat City, you might start to look at United and say, okay, maybe Ten Hag's doing something. Maybe he's going to be able to compete for top 4. If City go over there and beat them 5-0, then man might just think, okay, like they're still miles off it. Do you know what I mean? They just had 2 good games, and either of those things could happen in either of them games. Same way Tottenham could go and just out mature Arsenal, and we'd be like, right, there, we've seen it. What happened last year again? Arsenal still not mature in the big games, and that could become a narrative for the season. So it's really important for really everyone, probably except City, but it's still a derby game, to go out and really take this game as like a final. Do you know what I mean? Because
I think Usman need to take this game really serious, because United have got a good record at your ground. You get me? And even in recent times, they've gone there and turned you over.
Yeah,
so
I know, which is quite weird when you think about it. It turns like it should be chalk and cheese. City, United.
Yeah.
United do have a good record against City. They really do.
Yeah.
We also had a run where we was just spanking them every game for a couple seasons. They've had a good recent record, but that's usually been when we've been winning everything anyway, so it hasn't mattered as much. But it was a period where we was hitting them up home and away non-stop. And I think this year, realistically, I think it's a Haaland hat-trick, maybe 4. I think it's one of them ones.
Fucking hell.
Nah, I think it's the demolition squad coming through. Like,
I don't. I mean, I hope you beat them, but not. I need Kane to stay in touching distance of Haaland for the Golden Boot.
Yo, bro, that's long gone, that fam, Patty. That's long gone. That you get me.
That's another Christmas one. They should give that Christmas the Golden Boot. Yeah, he's going crazy. I think he's got same amount as Kane. The top of 4 players combined, or Son, Martin.
Yeah, no,
he's going crazy, bro.
Haaland's got 11, Kane's got 6, Mitrovic has got 6, and then there's a few others on 5. But yeah, he's
the guy hardly touched the ball, and scores, bro. It's absolute, man. Right, let's get Kish's comment in last before we wrap it up. If by a miracle Spurs win the league and City don't win the Champions League, but Haaland scores 35 goals, does Haaland signing strengthen or weaken the team? Go on, Bish, that's for you, that.
I think Haaland signing could strengthen the team and the team get weaker in the same time period. Like, you can buy a player that makes your team better and then do other stuff with your team that overall has made the team worse, but it wasn't about what that player brought. I think City are better with Haaland. Like, he makes us better. Whether losing Sterling, losing Fernandinho, losing certain other players, if because of that we then go on to not win the league and not win the Champions League, then I don't think that means that Haaland wasn't a strengthening of the team. But if the rest of City's team performs to the level they perform at, and you put Haaland in that, then you win everything. That's what would happen. The only thing that can happen is other players don't perform to the level.
Yeah, we ain't winning.
Prem's a stretch. The only one that could compete for the Prem is Arsenal, just because they've had such a mad run. I think if Tottenham win, then Tottenham are a level top points with City if we win. So I give Tottenham that combo as well.
It's going to be tough to go.
Just like
it's going to be tough to go to the Emirates. And I you know what? I hate to say it, I don't see us going to the Emirates and beaten.
You man out in the conversation, Kish. Sorry, you're out in the combo.
Yo,
United not in the combo.
These two eye all the time.
Man.
You get me?
Oh, okay.
United, not in the combo.
I was about to ask who he supports, but it makes sense. He's a United fan.
Yeah, United.
Kish. Sorry, bro. Cut you.
But people. Go on, Patty.
Oh, no, I was going to say, going to the Emirates and beating Arsenal is going to be a very, very difficult challenge. I mean, we've been there many a time. I know this is a different team under Conte, but still, Arsenal are a good team and they always turn us over at home. I'm just hoping it's more competitive and obviously we don't get beat. Don't get beat. If you can't beat them, don't get beat. So I want to see, I mean, for us, it's, in terms of that naivety and all that, do we go there and just let Arsenal players off the park? Or do we be resolute, solid, and try and pick them off? I can't see us going there and turning them over. Obviously, if we keep it tight, anything can happen. But it's going to be a good test for both teams, to be fair.
100%.
City, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea. That's my top 4. City, Arsenal,
say that again. City,
Arsenal, Tottenham, and I'm going to say Chelsea.
Chelsea, yeah?
I think Raheem Sterling's just going to...
Over Liverpool, Chelsea over Liverpool.
Yeah, I think Liverpool will continue to struggle. I think United will struggle. And I think Chelsea will somehow creep in now at 4th. That's the wild card of the predictions. But I think Arsenal will go on another good run. I think Spurs will
take that.
It close and drop off.
And fuck all of that. You get me? I want
I'll take that.
Would take that. Conte would take 0-0 as well.
I'll take that all day long.
All I know, I'm telling you now for a fact, if we don't beat Tottenham, bro, I am not going to be happy, because
I'll be hitting you up, Frems. I'll be hitting you up.
we should be beating Tottenham at home. We should definitely be beating Tottenham at home.
You should. Realistically, you should. But We'll see, innit? We'll see.
Tom,
We'll see.
shows you United tattoo. Vicky, she's saying.
Bruv, it does not exist. It could never exist. It would burn off my skin. Just evaporate.
People them. Listen, we've come to the end of the stream. Obviously, I don't want to take too much time off the man them, but make sure before you lock out, you smash a like on this video as it helps push the algorithms. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, as it is fucking free of charge, people. You get me? So make sure you hit that button. Patrick, tell them where they can find you.
Yes, Patrick Tyrant on Twitter, Insta, and YouTube. My podcast is called Chatty Patty. I started at the beginning of the season, so yeah, it's going well. So by all means, like Prems is saying, follow, subscribe, whatever, smash a like. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, same name, Patrick Tyrant. And yeah, man, I'm just here. I'm here, there, and everywhere. I'm pretty much on loads of different stuff now. It's great interacting with all the top podcasters and YouTubers. So yeah, man, it's always a pleasure when I'm chopping up with good guys such as you two. Always a pleasure.
My brother, you're welcome on this channel anytime.
1,000%.
And Bish, my co-host, is always a pleasure seeing your face on this camera, bro. I'm not going to lie. I love it.
Likewise.
But talk to me. Tell them where they can find you. Obviously, we know you haven't set up your own YouTube channel yet, but
Bro, yeah,
tell them where they can find you.
Right now, make sure you're locking in every Thursday for Premier League Unpacked. I'll be here consistently. That's the one that I'm making sure always happens. There might be some other city bits of content in the working. We might come at it a bit different. We're gonna see. But in the meantime, pleasure speaking with both of you, Patrick. Fully enjoyed it, bro. Come on. Definitely, hopefully, man will get a chance to check back soon. And yeah, man, bring back on the Premier League. Get these international games out of the way, and let's see these derbies, man. And we should, it'd be good to catch you again after the Arsenal Tottenham game and see.
Yeah. Shout me, man. We'll connect.
One man's going to be sweating and one man's going to be smiling. You get me, bro? That's what's going to be happening. For people, them, peace and love. We'll see you on the next stream, my people.
Blessings.